Hi and welcome back to the channel. For today we're taking a picture of the moon, but we're going to do it with an exceptional level of quality by using a mosaic approach with lots of high detail images. Each image will be constructed out of a video, and hopefully at the end of it we'll have a really good shot of the moon to show you. If we have, I'll put it on screen next. Okay, so we've just set up outside, and you can see from this diffraction spike pattern here, you've got a fairly equal distance between the middle spike and the two outer spikes. That's the Bartonov mask working, so I know I'm in focus at this point. The telescope is currently pointing at Jupiter. Okay, so I've just changed the target to the moon. I will switch our settings accordingly, and you can see it at the top there. It's a very, very small crescent moon outside. I know it looks quite impressive here, but it is a small moon tonight. The settings look okay. I'm going to set 1 minute. In fact, no, we'll do 2 minutes as a maximum time. And it will be the whole frame that's being recorded. So we'll gather a 2-minute frame of this segment of the moon, and then we'll move over to the next piece and do the same again. We'll probably need, I think, 4 in our mosaic to get the small crescent in shot, because we are zoomed in quite far. You can see the detail of the moon as it comes in and out of focus. There's some amazing detail visible, but lots of wobble, lots of atmospheric disturbance. Our post-processing will be slightly complicated by the poor seeing. Seeing is sort of how good the sky is. So I noticed that it was blown out at the top here, so it's fully white, which means I need to drop down the gain and make sure I don't have that in the image. I don't want to change the settings between shots on the mosaic, so I want them all set up the same way. So just need to make sure that's good. Yeah, I think that's better. Okay, let's start our first segment off. So in 2 minutes, I expect to gather about 1500-ish frames. It's still amazing to me sitting here just looking at the level of detail we have on the moon. I know it's a little bit abstract and removed by staring at a screen, but I also know what kit I've got just out in front of me taking this image. It's so good to see. I might even pop outside after this and just do some visual astronomy. Just have a look around. It's great to see. So I try and pick reference points, so you can see there's a couple of craters right next to each other and a dark coloured crater. I'll try and use those to help align the next shot and make sure I get enough overlap to get the whole of the moon in when I come to create the mosaic. Anything down here at the bottom of the image, this is all going to be black. So there's a nice fade out. That's plenty for us. We don't need more than that. So I often get asked if you can see the lunar lander on the moon's surface. No, you can't. The laws of optics prevent that. It's just too small, unfortunately. You can see the Sea of Tranquility where it landed, but sadly you can't see the lander itself. It's better to image the moon when it isn't a full moon. You get much more texture and shadows cast, I find. So I'd much rather do a crescent moon or a partial moon than a full moon. You can get some nice shots of a full moon, don't get me wrong. Some of my best pictures are. But I'd prefer to do a crescent like this is now. So if you were to stand outside and look at this, it looks like a very small crescent moon tonight. And we're just seeing a lot of detail because of the scope that we're using. Okay, that's our last shot. 2 more minutes, and then we'll start compiling them together. Okay, we've got a bunch of pictures of the moon. What next? Next is auto stack it. So in this tool, we can look at a picture of the moon. I think it was number 62. Yeah. And we will go through one at a time, selecting the data, analyzing it. And when we analyze it, you will see some bad frames in there. What we can do at the top here is press spacebar to remove a frame and then move to the next frame. Okay, so there are a few bad frames at the start there. The rest seem okay. And then we need some alignment points, some points on the image that will be used as anchor points between the different frames to join them together. So I'll tell it to automatically place a grid of up to 104, and they should all be in a similar place, which they are. Okay, so that's fine. I want the best 10% of the best 10% of the frames, and I'm going to tell it to stack that now. And once this completes, which won't take too long, I'll do that again for all of the other videos. Okay, so we've repeated the process for all our images, and we've come up with our final sequence that will combine into a mosaic. So I'll start with the first image, and what I'll do is I'll crop it down to exclude a couple of bits that I don't want, and then I'm going to zoom right out and I'm going to crop it and make it much bigger so I can bring in all the other images to it. I'll quickly set the background color by using the fill tool. I'll press Alt and click on a bit of dark sky and then just fill the rest of it black. So I'll go to the next image in the chain, copy it and paste it in as a layer. I'll use the move tool to place it, and I'll just align it in the right place on this image. So you can see how the craters line up. And I'm deliberately not feathering this at the moment. I'm just trying to drop it on exactly where I think it should sit. Okay, so we've got a combined image. It just needs some tidying up. The obvious one was this this line here, which was this image. Yeah. We'll just add a layer mask to layer 4, and then we will brush with a black brush set to 100% opacity. We'll feather it, and it's a black brush we want, and we'll just get rid of that from the layer mask, and it will stop that line showing through. Now what we're going to do is a similar thing for all of the pictures. We will have a look at what parts of the image are improved by adding in a layer and what parts are made worse. So for instance, if you look at this rock here and then watch what happens when we turn the next layer on, it gets stretched and loses its definition. So we don't want that. So we'll mask that out by doing the same thing. Okay, we can crop this now, and we'll merge all those layers together. And then we've got one image that we can start working with. First thing I'm going to do is save that, and I'm going to move over to Registack, and then I'll pick a center point here. I'll zoom out a little bit. And what I'm going to use is these wavelets on the left hand side to try and improve the definition and the sharpness of the details. As I bump that up, you'll start to see pixelation occur, and then I'll use denoise to pull that back in. So I'm constantly battling between improving this area that you can see, this working area that looks much sharper than the areas next to it, but without getting too much noise into the image. And I use up to 6 layers to do this. Okay, I think that's probably as far as I'd be prepared to push. So I'm going to click Do All now, and it will roll this change out across the whole image in sections, which is what you're seeing happen now. Now sometimes you go too far and it looks artificial, and we'll have to make a judgment on whether we've done that on this one. So how does that look? I think we might be alright. Might want to pull it back a little bit. What I'll do, I'll drop each of the sharpens back 1 and just do that one more time. So we'll save this one as an image and then pop back to Photoshop to edit that in a more conventional manner. So this is the image we started with. That's after our wavelet processing. So I think we'll stay with this one. So first things first, we need to make it look like the moon. So which way around was it? 90 degrees clockwise. So image, rotation, arbitrary, or 90 degrees clockwise. And then we will crop it to make it look like there's a moon there. We'll use the bucket tool with the same black background to fill in where the moon should be. I'll quickly draw on where I think the moon would sit, about there. So we could probably bring the crop in a little bit, because we'll stay in line with where the moon would be if it were full. Just gives a nice view of the image. Now this will stand a good amount of zoom because of the nature of the mosaic that made it up. So it's a nice picture, this. We need to brighten it quite a lot, but preferably without completely killing these sections that are already quite light. So I'll start with shadows and highlights and see if we can do anything there. So shadows and highlights tends to attack the dark part of the moon and start eating in here, which is fine, but I'm more interested in the bits that are visible. So I'll pull it a little bit, and I'll also see if we can tone down highlights a little bit to pull down those really bright bits. So that's 18% on shadows, 15% on highlights. Okay, I'm going to use curves now, Control M for curves, and bring up the bottom half of the curve, just in a few small increments until it gets to a natural colour for the moon, which is probably about that. Now, we have introduced some artifacts here as part of the mosaic process, so we'll just use the clone stamp tool and we'll get rid of those. So the fade out to blackness is not very subtle at the bottom edges, because they were truncated on the bottom of the picture. So I'm just going to try and tidy those up a bit. And I will use, I'll use clone stamp because we're already in that tool. And we'll go for quite a big brush, 500 pixels. I'm just going to try and fade that down so it goes to a point. I'll do the same at the top. So it's quite a natural fade out. So it's all looking quite natural. I don't think I've got any artifacts in there anymore. I'm just going to quickly do a fill of the whole image in white and just look to see if there's anything weird. No, that looks absolutely fine. So I was looking for any anomalies that would stand out, but that looks good. I imagine this is quite a large image. Yeah, so it's 2 meters by 2 meters currently, is its native size. So, and that's a TIFF file, that's uncompressed. So we'll check the size of that. It's 210 megs. So we'll save that as a JPEG, and that is 7 megs. So we'll then open the JPEG. Okay, in terms of framing, I think I want a bit more dead space around the right-hand side of the moon. So I'm just going to crop it and enlarge it. I think we could brighten it a little bit more as well. So if we go to curves, Control M, push it a little bit further. I don't want to go much further than that. We can do more, but you lose a bit of definition. I'll see what brightness and contrast can do. Let's do a new layer so we can compare the two. So this is with contrast. That's without. With, without. So all we're really doing is bringing in a little bit of shadowing on the left-hand side of the image, which I don't particularly want, so we'll lose that. Okay, so it looks a little bit red tinged to me. So I'm just going to pull up curves and Alt-3, which will take you to red only, and then just pull that down a tiny bit. Okay, that's better. Maybe a bit green now, so I'll do the same thing, but Alt-4 for green. So a little bit more work on the crop then. Coming a little bit here, I want them equispace, top and bottom. That's about right. Okay. So if I auto color it, it's taking out a little bit more red. So image auto color, it's just pulled out some more red, which I'm actually okay with. I think that might be our moon picture. Yeah, I think we'll save that one. So I hope you enjoyed seeing how we can combine multiple images of the moon together to make a really detailed final version. It is a lovely picture, and printed out 2 meters wide and 2 meters tall. That would look very impressive. If you enjoyed the video, please do subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.